You can't have a, you know, a physics course.
Yeah.
No,
But I thought it was because we were happy with the 5-unit course, but only 4 of those units would count in class. Is that correct?
But you can't do that to students.
Is that correct?
No, it's not. But yeah, the 4-unit, you're right. So the additional unit is something that students have to pay for, but it's not counted as college level work.
Yeah.
So
Well, and what professors are doing, because, and the only reason I know this
everybody's
is because
trying
I'm
to
taking this
figure out how to
course
make
for
it
the
work
second
for
time.
students.
This is
Right.
Physics 101, for example, Physics 101 course that I'm taking this semester, which I retook in a previous semester, where the discussion period was what is now a 1-unit supplementary or auxiliary course, and it's no longer required. So I think maybe it's a curriculum issue, maybe it's something that isn't as permanent, well, shouldn't be as permanent as it may seem right now, but that's just my opinion.
the thing is that curriculum is absolutely faculty, well, it's faculty responsibility. I mean, it's their responsibility. It's in the, you know, the 10+1. That's where it belongs. But you as a board can say, we're focusing on student success, and if we get the data, and we all get the data that shows, without question, you know, same population, Bakersfield is very much the same population as we are. You know, they've been dealing with the same kinds of issues we are, and here's what they've seen as a result of what they've done with acceleration and, you know, creating the support for students. So I think
As long as the success is there, I don't see a
that's,
problem with it.
there's no other reason
Or
to change.
the support is there, I mean.
Right, right. Do you have a STEM program here?
Yes, but it's kind of a STEM program. Engineering is not part of it.
But so because you take all the math and the
Yes.
science courses, you're included
Yeah.
within it.
Sorry, excuse me.
And it's not a STEAM program. With the arts.
I know, okay.
So do you feel, getting back to the
Getting back to the topic.
yeah, I would like to see, since policies seem to be a theme through this particular section, are our policies up to date? Are they reflective of where we need to be with respect to accreditation, but more importantly, with respect to the support from the board to accomplish these goals? So maybe one of the things we need to look at as we're going through this is review our policies and see if they're
Well, that's being done on a regular basis.
right.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that you can decide as a board, that we have the policies, and Connie has been charged with working with a committee, correct? And that has to, you know, those all go through the shared governance process too. So you have a committee, so what we can require at every board meeting is a report from that particular committee. And you can ask, I've seen at other places where the board members who are on the committees will report to the board what's going on. Or you can decide that you want to be a committee of the whole, which means everybody's involved, and but with 7 members, you know, that's kind of forward.
Well, one of the things that I just thought of going forward as well is, in order to listen to students and see what it is they want, I think it would be helpful if I would be willing to volunteer to attend their student senate meetings.
Yes.
Just so we all know where they're coming from, what their concerns are, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Okay, I think the thing you need to be careful of is, remember, your job is not the operations. Your job is setting the policy, what you expect, and then you charge me and all of the employees. So students definitely are your constituents, and so I think it's important to hear from students. But you have to be careful that you're not stepping into operations. So,
If I may, you're more than welcome to attend, either way. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe what Dr. Harmon's getting at is that there's a point of overseeing as opposed to management. And it is more or less to oversee instead of manage. Am I,
Yeah, and I think overseeing can, you know,
or our job, for that matter.
yeah. So who works with the students? I think it's really, you know, maybe one of the things we need to do is have a community and student forum where, you know, if you're looking at your strategic directions, or what is it that they do call them, the things that you really are focused on. Your strategic
Special
focus.
priorities.
Yeah, your special priorities. You want to get feedback from, you know, the community. That's one of the things that we could do, is to hold an all-day forum and invite community leaders and such to really look at how are we serving students. And one of the things that, one of the colleges I was at that was, I really, really liked, and board members were there, at least some of them were there, was we had a breakfast with business and industry leaders, students who graduated already, high school students who were looking, I mean, it was a whole group of people. And the students talked about those things that worked for them when they were at the college and those things that didn't work for them. I mean, you have to have somebody who's graduated for the most part, because it's pretty scary for students to talk about things that aren't in an, you know, open environment.
Well, I think it's really good for us to hear directly from people.
Yeah, I mean,
Not have
it's-
everything go through a filter and have certain things filtered out perhaps.
Yeah, it's not that I'm saying we should go into a position of micromanaging, but if I were a congressman, I would go into my district and say, what
Your
are,
constituents, the students.
Right,
I think-
Without-
I
and
think-
he can't commit the board to a certain response, but he can
Right.
bring it back and say, hey, this is what I heard. This is
Absolutely.
the lay of the land out there at this particular, and I think that's really
This
valuable.
is what the students are seeing. I think one of the things that you have to remember is your constituents are the communities, the students, because they're, you know, here, we're serving them. Faculty, staff, and especially these small communities, often live in the communities, and so they're their constituents. When in the employee at the college, they are the employees, and so that's not the same. You have to separate that. You have to be able to separate that, because otherwise, you're getting into the operations, and you're getting into the,
Well, I
and
think,
you also have to trust people. I mean, part of it is trusting. And if I came,
Yeah, but trust but verify.
well, yeah, because if you're not getting the results you want, then that tells you something. If you have an institution that's, you know, having all kinds of audits, that tells you you're not getting the accurate information on, you know, so those are the kinds of measures you can watch. But, you know, yeah.
Well,
Shelley,
I-
I'm sorry, I could see.
well, I think partly when you say community and constituents, you know, the constituents who we report to have outcomes as well. When we talk about all these various language for
Mhm.
outcomes in this policy, those constituents have outcomes. And
Like, for example, give me an example.
well, they all have children, grandchildren, neighbors, people that they know that are
Absolutely.
enrolled in our institutions, or have had a history of being enrolled, or exposure to our institutions.
Anecdotal information, yeah.
Or direct exposure, and they're holding us accountable as to how effective we are. And one of the things when I was walking this past fall, over and over again, people felt that they were not involved in the process when programs were cut. And I think they felt that their voices were not heard. So we're held to a level of outcome performance as well.
But
And-
I think that it's important to listen to people and to say, we absolutely want to make sure that you know why you program. And so that's where that data is critical. You can show that this is a program where students aren't getting jobs, or this is a program where, you know, we haven't had the students, or,
Well, I think if you have, back to the one here, I think if you have effective policies and effective partnerships that are outcomes of those policies or directions from the board. You mentioned working with business and industry. I think we would do a far better job in doing that. We have a great program that we can benchmark from. When I went to the nursing pinning ceremony, I was very impressed by what I heard and the public-private partnerships that they have that make the program a success. So we have programs here that we can replicate and find various areas within CD. Somebody mentioned intern programs. So my earlier question, are our policies addressing that? Could
No.
we as a board do a better job of being more innovative in our policy approach?
That is implementation.
Okay.
What you say is, we need to have connections to business. What I think we need to do, first of all, is to find out what there is there, what is happening, because my understanding from, there's some programs that are very connected. And as a result, students get jobs and everything, and there's other programs that aren't. You say, if we have CTE programs, students need to be moving into jobs. We need evidence that students are moving into jobs. We need evidence that our business and industry is being served by these programs.
Correct.
That's what your role is asking. And if you're not getting the response, then you tell me, and that you're not getting the response, this is not happening, and, that has to change.
So, as an example, what you
Yeah.
said about going with the county instead of with NJC, what you're talking about, saying that we don't have a good reputation in this area.
I think it would be a really, one of the things that I think could happen, so this was, what kind of a program was it? It was entrepreneurship, or what exactly was it?
It's the new.
Workforce training?
Yes, exactly.
The WIP.
Workforce training initiatives that
Okay.
they're starting here, yes.
So I think what you identified is there's an issue, there's a problem here, and, there's a couple different ways you can address it. I mean, you can go and find more information and bring that to me, but I would say to the presidents, you need to make sure that you're out there, that what is it that we need to do differently so that we can meet. I mean, some of the constraints are, it's very hard to get new programs started in community colleges. Okay, is there a way that we can circumvent that?